They fired me for being 5 minutes late. 6 months later, my former boss called me in tears, and I was sitting on a beach in Bali collecting a check worth more than a year of my salary. This is the story of how I turned my revenge into the smartest payday of my life. Early 2010. YouTube was still the Wild West. Not everyone had figured out how to make content that actually worked. A university wanted to build their brand on YouTube, and they hired me, a one-man production crew, to make it happen. The pay was garbage, $2,200 a month. In those days, video production took forever. Scripting, shooting, editing, music, all of it was slow and tedious. But I was passionate. I wanted to build something, so I took the job. On my second day, my manager sat me down and slid a piece of paper across the table. 85 videos, 3 to 10 minutes each, 52 weeks, for one person, with my own equipment, for $2,200 a month. I stared at that number, 85. I told her it wasn't possible. Not for one person, not with outdated cameras and computers that couldn't even handle 720p. She smiled at me, that fake, encouraging smile, and said, "Just give it a try. If the videos are good, I won't focus on the quantity." I wanted to believe her. I did believe her. So I got to work, and for the first month, everything was fine. She was pleasant, professional. And then one day, everything changed. I mentioned I was a smoker, just a casual mention during small talk, and I watched her face shift. I didn't understand it at first, but my colleague saw it happen. She actually face-palmed right in front of me and said, "You told her that? She hates smokers. She tries to get them fired." Within a week, the micromanaging started. I smelled like smoke after my breaks. I was 5 minutes late one day. I wasn't answering texts during my lunch hour. Keep in mind, I was already working 6 days a week, over 60 hours, and she knew it. But none of that mattered to her. I was a smoker now, and smokers had to go. 5 months in, I was called into the director's office. My manager was already there, sitting with the biggest, most satisfied smile I'd ever seen on a human face. My stomach dropped. The director looked at me and said she was disappointed. I was behind on my work. I had only completed 30 videos out of 85. I tried to explain. I told her I was doing this alone, that I was working 60 hours a week, that the 30 videos I had made were their highest performing content on YouTube. I even reminded them that my manager had said quality mattered more than quantity. And then, this is the part that still makes my blood boil. My manager snorted and said, "We'll just hire a professional production house to finish the job." The director nodded. She agreed. They were going to fire me and replace me with a company. And that's when something clicked. I knew exactly what was about to happen. And I knew how to make them regret it, because I was the one who had built their list of production houses. I was the one with the contacts. And my manager? She had nothing. She had zero industry connections, zero idea how this worked. So I went home that night and I opened my database, and I changed every single contact number, every email address, all of them, ruined. Except one. There was one production house I left completely untouched, and that's because I had a friend there, not an assistant director, an actual director, assigned to smaller projects, underpaid, hungry for his shot. I called him that night. I told him I had a plan, a win-win. He would get a contract worth a fortune. I would get a finder's fee, 15%. He didn't even hesitate. Within 2 days, they called him in to pitch, and I had given him everything, the playbook, the talking points, the exact style and tone the university wanted, the themes they loved. I handed him the entire strategy on a silver platter. He walked into that pitch meeting and he was perfect. He knew things no outside company could have known. He understood their brand like he'd been working there for years. The director was stunned. My manager was impressed. They signed him on the spot. Now here's what you need to understand about production houses. They're not cheap, not even close. Each video cost 2 to 3 times what I was making in a month. But they could produce one every 2 to 3 days. So in 4 months, they delivered 50 videos. And here's where it gets beautiful. The budget for my entire one-man operation. 1.5 years of my salary. What did they spend? Over 100 months of my salary. They blew through their budget by a factor of 10. And I sat back on a beach in Bali collecting 15% of every single invoice. 15 months of my salary, tax-free, delivered while I was on holiday. A week into my trip, my phone rang. It was my colleague, the one who had facepalmed when I told her about the smoking thing. She was laughing so hard she could barely speak. My former manager had been fired, not gently, not quietly. The chancellor of the entire university had personally gotten involved and blasted the director. They had gone over budget by more than 10 times and nobody, and I mean nobody, had approved it. My manager had been so desperate to finish the project and save face that she threw money at everything without asking anyone. And when the bills came in, there was no explaining it away. The director survived, barely, but my manager, gone. And my friend, the one who pitched? He was promoted to full director, permanently. A 6-month contract had turned him into a name in the industry. So let me tell you what I walked away with. A year of my old salary. Money for a holiday. Money for film school overseas at one of the most respected programs in the world. And a story I will never, ever forget. They thought they were firing dead weight. They fired the only person in that building who actually knew how this industry worked. And they paid me for the privilege of learning that lesson. Here's what I want you to take away from this. When someone tries to destroy you, don't just survive. Get strategic. Know your worth. Protect your value. And if someone ever tries to replace you, make sure they can't do it without you. If this story hit different, drop a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Would you have done the same thing? I'd love to hear your take. And if you've got a story of your own, petty, pro, or somewhere in between, this channel is where those stories come alive. See you in the next one.